Hi guys, Sarah Pacaro. Hope you guys are ready because today's video is going to go into 15 ways. That's 15 ways to emotionally detach from a narcissist. Whether this narcissist was your parent and whether they are defined as narcissist or not. Perhaps you're just understanding that they haven't been diagnosed as a narcissist, but they are toxic. They have many of the traits. They have all of the traits. They check all the boxes. They're emotionally neglectful, emotionally manipulative, emotionally abusive, and in every way, emotionally damaging to you. And you realize that you're emotionally connected to them and are looking for ways to break that emotional connection, to take back your emotional power so that you can live a happy, peaceful, fulfilling life. A life without that narcissist in your head and in your mind. Even when you have created a physical boundary and you perhaps have cut them off and blocked them and got no contact, there's still an emotional connection and attachment. So this video today will show you 15 ways to emotionally detach from the narcissist. We're going to get into it a little bit. As you understand, I am so pro using the power of your unconscious mind. So these are all conscious things that you can do. And in that realm, anything you can do consciously is advice, is you should do this. And I'm not a big proponent of advice or you should do this. Obviously, if it's things like creating physical boundaries and going no contact if you can, that will definitely help you. And I don't need to tell you that because you know that. But these are things that you might be looking for, ways to emotionally detach from a narcissist, because they might still be in your life. They might no longer be in your life. And you're looking for powerful way to emotionally detach from the narcissist because realizing you have that emotional attachment and connection, you're feeling completely drained, depleted, void of any self hope. There's no hope for your future because you get stuck in that perpetual cycle of blame and shame and guilt and feeling like it's your fault that they, right? Because they're portraying and projecting to be the victim and feeling like you have no self-worth, no self-confidence, no self-trust, no self-esteem, that yourself is never going to be able to move on and move forward and be happy and live a thriving, peaceful life internally with this attachment to the narcissist. So let's get into 15 ways to emotionally detach from a narcissist. Because if you're here, if you're watching this video, if you're doing research about that, the good news is you can be successful. And the even better news is it does not take decades to heal from this type of emotional abuse and neglect. It is possible to break free energetically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and that will impact you financially as well because you're probably spending lots of money on things that are supposed to help you, that are self-care related, and realizing I don't even feel good after. So all of that money seems to be going to waste. But you're really doing that so you can emotionally disconnect and break free so that you can just go live and love your life. So if you are there, I'm glad you're here. The first thing you can do is recognize it's not your fault. So we're going to get into this. Because this is really, really, really difficult to do. But that's the first step in emotionally detaching from a narcissist is recognizing that it's not your fault. But inevitably, what ends up being recognized is all the ways that you think that perhaps they're right when they point out to you that it is. It is your fault that they, and you probably heard that phrase time and time again. It's your fault that they abused you, used you, lied to you, manipulated you, cheated on you, whatever it is. That's the first step, though, is recognize that it's not your fault. And you're probably hearing this and going, yeah, I've tried and that doesn't work. All of these tips, all 15 of them that I share with you, are going to feel like they don't work because you have an unconscious belief that contradicts this advice. And that's what I said in the very beginning, using the power of your unconscious mind to break free energetically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually from this type of manipulation and abuse is what will set you free very quickly. because this is just advice, like recognize it's not your fault. You probably heard that from friends, from family members. You probably heard that from reading articles and books that say recognize that, and you don't know how to recognize that, and you have given it your best effort and your greatest attempt to recognize that, and you always get pulled back to recognizing the part in which you played that the emotional manipulator and abuser wants you to focus on. They want you to focus on your faults, your shortcomings, the part that you played, and make you feel like you have that much power and control over them, that you made them. No one can make you do anything, but they want you to believe that you made them do harmful and hurtful things to you, because then it gets them off the hook for the things that they did to you. So you probably struggle with this step one. Like, I can't even pass this test. What is this? Recognizing it's not your fault. There's probably a part of you that does, and a part of you that questions the validity of that recognition. Is that true? Is it not my fault? I kind of feel like it was, because I know I played a role in that. So there's that gaslighting mind that's going back and forth and is completely distorted in reality and doesn't know what truth it actually believes or how much of what truth it should connect with. Because the narcissist has done that to your brain. They've completely, it's like scrambled eggs now inside of there. So you're convinced, and not just at the conscious level, because consciously you know it's not your fault, that you didn't deserve to be treated the way that you were treated. And unconsciously, you're convinced that it is your fault. So that's what's happening here. So if you want to know how to detach from the narcissist, you have to accept the fact that this isn't true, but that feels impossible to do. I understand it. I've been there. Every client that I work with has been there too. But that's the first step, right? And to begin to believe the truths as lies and the lies as truths. It does and can help if you write down the facts of the things that happen, because then you can begin to clearly see and stop the thoughts from ping-ponging around in your mind. But what helps more than anything is getting to the very core and root of it unconsciously, and how it's showing up and impacting, affecting, and influencing your life, every decision you make, and every relationship that you have. So the second step into emotionally detaching from a narcissist is accepting. I talk about this all the time. The first letter in the alphabet is A, accepting, being aware, and acknowledging. So whatever word you want to say, but step number 2 is to accept that change isn't likely. I don't want to say impossible, because you may think, you know what, no, they have changed. And maybe they've moved on to new supply and you're still stalking them online, and you're thinking and believing they have changed for that other person. And now that other person, you have this belief, is so much better than you, far greater than you, and everything that they do is far superior to anything that you could do. So now there's comparison and judgment that is deeply connected with the limiting and negative beliefs unconsciously that you already have about yourself. And now you're seeing that relationship that that narcissist has with that other person through that lens. But when you can accept that change isn't likely, they will always project and portray a better life with the new supply than the one that they had with you, to try to make you feel even worse, as if that were even possible. But it is, especially if this continues on and you don't do anything to unconsciously change, transform, reprogram, and rewire the unconscious beliefs you have about yourself. But that is step number 2, accept that change isn't likely. And you may be thinking, well, maybe they did change for that person, because through the course of the relationship with you and with the next person, with everyone, they will promise to change. And you held on to that promise with white knuckles. You held on to it because you wanted to believe that it was true. You knew it was a lie. If you're not lying to yourself, you knew it was a lie, and you wanted it to be true, especially when you were at the cusp of leaving them. That is what they will say. I promise you, this time is different. I know I said that last time, but this time I really mean it. I can't tell you why this time is different, because you're going to ask what makes this time different. And it just is. I just know it is, because I really have been thinking about this, and I know. And I don't want to lose you. And if I lose you, I'll lose everything. And all the lies that will just come flying out of their mouth when you say, I'm done, I've had it, I'm leaving, it's over. That's when they will do anything to try and convince you that they will change, including promise you up and down till they're blue in the face. So separating from a narcissist does become much easier when you accept that they aren't going to change. And that is really hard because you have a lot of emotional pain, a lot of emotional damage. And if they were to change, it would heal that, thus making you feel better. Not true, because they don't change, but they will make promise after promise after promise. So living in the reality and accepting that they're not going to change, or change is highly, 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 highly unlikely. And the reality is that the longer you stick around tolerating their abuse and their behavior, that gives them no reason to change, because you're saying, treat me however you want. I will continue to come back. I will continue to accept being used, abused, and manipulated by you. So therefore, you've given them no reason to change. You may not like that, but it's the truth. Moving on to number 3, understanding that narcissists are wounded people, hurt people, hurt people. And you can say, yes, I know, I understand this. This person is a lot like my mother. This person is like my father. And I understand that they were hurt, but I just don't understand why this person who promises that they understand what they're doing to me and that they love me and that they want to change and that they're trying to change isn't. Understanding that narcissists are wounded people, and they are deeply, 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 deeply wounded, and you are too after having been with them, because you've taken on their pain, you've taken it on every level, and not only have you taken it on, you've given it your greatest and best effort to try and heal, help, and change their pain, because you know how bad it hurts, because you hurt that bad as well. You're giving everything to try and fix it, to try and love them enough that they no longer feel it. So everything about the narcissist and their behavior is incredibly damaging, is incredibly cruel. And at their very core, they are very, very wounded people on every level, on the soul level. Their soul is wounded, and you feel that, and you don't want them to feel it. So you've spent as much time as you have trying to take it on and take it away from them so that they didn't feel that pain. But through that wound, through their pain, they've developed often very charismatic, often very charming personality, a personality that seems to have this air of confidence and superiority, but underneath all of those layers of lies is this wounded soul, is this very, very hurt person who has feelings of inadequacy and often experienced severe emotional neglect and emotional abuse as a child. And they are covering it, they are masking it, and they are projecting that pain onto you. So once you understand that you are dealing with a very disordered individual with deep emotional wounds, with deep childhood wounds, giving space between you and the narcissist becomes easier, because you realize as long as you continue to fight, you are fighting a losing battle. And that's the thing, is you have similar emotional wounds of neglect, abandonment, and betrayal from your childhood, from your past, from your upbringing. And maybe you don't say it's from your childhood because you had a really good childhood, but you can pinpoint it somewhere, or perhaps you can't. And that may be a result of childhood emotional neglect. It's not what you had, it's what you didn't, it's what you lacked that created the same wounds that they have. So if you're wondering about childhood emotional neglect, I've got a video on that as well that explains that it's the invisible wound. So it's that thing that you can't see, but is there, and it's affecting, influencing, and impacting your every decision, and creating this attachment to the wounded side of the narcissist, which is all of their sides. So step number 4, make a plan for leaving. You cannot heal in the same environment that's making you sick. So you need to get out of the relationship safely, of course. So create a plan for that. However it looks for you, it's different for everyone. And make that plan for leaving so that you can break free from the narcissist. So you have that physical barrier and boundary. You have that physical space. You're no longer under the same roof as them. You absolutely must have an exit plan. And my hope for you is that it's a safe one. So if you're living living together, get your finances in order. Most likely they like you to not have a job or for you to depend on them financially. So get your financial life in order. Perhaps that means looking for a job. Perhaps that means finding another place to live. And that's why people stay a lot, because sometimes narcissists are very, very successful. They're in sales positions. They make a lot of money because they're charming and they can talk anyone into anything. So you become dependent on them financially. Yes, your lifestyle might change. Mine changed dramatically. When I first left the second narcissist, had to move in with my child into my childhood bedroom. It was crushing, but it's what I had to do in making my plan to leave. You don't stay in that state forever. No one stays in any state forever. So making your plan to leave safely is a crucial step. Step number 5, if you can, I have other videos on this as well. If you have children together, you can't always, but if you can, cut off all contact. That means blocking them on any sort of social media, email, the ability to call you, the ability to Snapchat you, blocking them on everything, if you can't. If you can't because of shared and common children, only using communication via email and in regards to the child. Not to use this continual banter back and forth, just taking it from text messages to emails. No. Or a court-appointed app. That way, everything can be timestamped, everything can be documented so that you have, because you may need it in the future. Documentation, especially if you have children with them or you're going through any type of separation or divorce, is key. So if you maintain contact with a narcissist, they will continue to hoover you. They will continue to love bomb you. They will continue to breadcrumb you and try to get you back. They will make every effort to try and get you back because you were easy to use and abuse. You put up with it for a certain length of time. And now they want to continue to play that role in that game with you. And if you put up with it for any length of time in the past, they don't think, oh, no, this person is strong and capable now to completely cut me off. So when you stay no contact, go no contact, that is part of taking back your power. But if you leave that contact and that door open for them to call you, text you, let you know if they need anything, reach out, stay friends, they will think that you're still holding on to feelings for them. They are that egotistical, and they will try, whenever they feel like it, to re-engage and draw you back in with the constant promises to change, with this understanding that they know how bad they've hurt you. And if you are truly, truly interested and ready in emotionally detaching from a narcissist, you have to cut off all contact. And when you can't because you have kids, the contact only needs to be about the children. Okay? So change your phone number, block their calls, or just delete them. I mean, blocking them is the greatest. The block button, greatest invention ever. So number 6, you might need to go to extremes. You might need to remove yourself from social media for a time. I'm not saying forever, but they will create fake accounts to follow you. They will create fake accounts to message you. So getting off and away from social media for a time is beneficial, because ultimately the narcissist, if you want to completely detach from them and emotionally, you've got to stay out of the areas that they use to get to you. So some people go to lengths to delete photos, or I've had people ask me, well, Sarah, what if I have a child with a narcissist and I get triggered when a photo comes up, but I don't want to delete all of them because it is my child's parent. You don't need to go to that length. But when you cut off emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and energetically, you can get to a point where you still have photos of that person for the sake of your child or children, and no longer have that emotional connection and attachment. I know, because I do it myself. I have pictures and photos of the narcissist in my daughter's room because that is her father. But there's no more emotional, energetic, or spiritual connection there. So in the beginning, however, they're not something that I sat there and stared and looked at on my phone. So maybe you make a separate folder for them and you put them all in there. And when they do pop up as a memory, you just keep scrolling or you delete the memory, but you just save it in the folder, if and only if it's for the sake of your children. So number 7, find other things that make you happy. Again, this is a catch-22 because you're so emotionally drained, exhausted, depleted, chaotic in your head and your heart and your mind from this narcissistic relationship and experience that you probably have no idea what makes you happy. Perhaps the narcissist isolated you from friends and family, and now you're embarrassed and ashamed to reach out to them because they were right about the relationship and situation. It didn't work out, and you feel like if you go to them, you're going to them with your head held down and your tail between your legs because they were right about it. And now you have no idea what makes you happy because the things that used to make you happy, perhaps you tried again and realized, no, I have no joy in those anymore because they remind me of the narcissist. So I can't do those things anymore. And I just don't know what makes me happy. So number 7 was find things that make you happy, but keep in mind that you might you're not in the same state. You're in a completely different state after narcissistic abuse than you were before experiencing it. So perhaps you go back and you try old hobbies and you try to re-engage with the things that make you happy, or you create new friendships or try to re-engage with old friendships and you're not feeling it. It's not the same. That's because you're still carrying into all of those things the emotional connection from the narcissist. So you're still dealing with all of that internally. Your mind is thinking of them and you just feel a burden to be there. You're just too bothered. It's just too much to go out and do something that makes you happy. What's the point is what your mind may tell you and what you may think, because that's what you feel inside, because you feel like there's no point to you anymore because you're just used, broken, and damaged goods now. So even when you return to doing the things that used to make you happy, they no longer do. That's an indication that there's more inner work to do. And I'm such a big proponent of doing the work at the unconscious level so that you find new things that make you happy, so that you can reignite and re-engage with old things that make you happy, but in a new, improved, and better way. So step number 8 is a really important step. It's connect with people who support you. And you may feel so alone. You may feel that no one understands what you've been through. And you may feel completely lost because even if you were to tell them what you went through, they wouldn't believe you because the stories that you probably have go on for years and they're so crazy. No one would believe you if you told them. So how in the world are you going to find anyone who supports you? And that's what the narcissist wants. They want you to feel like you have no one who loves you or will support you for you because they wanted you to believe and they got you to believe that you're not better or you're not worthy of a better relationship. And perhaps they've forced you or forced your friends to turn against you or forced you to turn against your friends and your family and get you to see things about them that you never really saw before, and maybe got you to believe that they don't have your best interests in mind when in fact that's actually a lie. But the narcissist benefits from you believing that. So when you're breaking free from a narcissist, you need supportive people on your side. That's where support groups can come in and be a part of your journey to healing, other people who get it, but be careful with that. A lot of people get stuck in continuing to retell their story and then they don't get out of that part. We're talking about energetically breaking free from the narcissist and not getting stuck in any of that. So if you have some close friends, if you have family members that you feel safe to open up with about the things that happen and your reasons for leaving the relationship, and tell them what you want and need. Ask them, is it okay if I call you if I'm having a really hard time? These are the things that trigger me. And if I get triggered by these things, is it okay to reach out to you? Because that's exactly what I need right now. And that also may be difficult because you may feel that you now reject help and support because internally and unconsciously you don't feel worthy of receiving support, love, connection. So again, clearing that out at the unconscious level changes all of that and allows you to reach out to people and allows you to feel safe and trust receiving support and help from them. That's really, really important because if you're alone, you're going to be much more tempted and triggered to go back to that narcissist when they do reach out again with the promises that they've changed. So number 9, again, a very difficult one when unconsciously and internally your mind does not believe this, but recognizing your own strengths. It's really hard to see the good in yourself And these strengths that you do have when you're in the state of disbelief and not trusting yourself, you're going to gaslight yourself when you think, is that a strength? I don't know. That's the thing that the narcissist used to always tell me I was horrible at or not any good at. And I always thought it was one of my strengths, like kindness and compassion. But now you question that because it was used against you, it was turned against you, and it was used to hurt you. But that is powerful, recognizing your own strengths. And it's usually the things that the narcissist did use you for and did turn against you for, like your forgiveness, your compassion, your kindness, your understanding, your ability to listen and hold space for people who are hurting. That is a strength. It is a strength that the narcissist used against you. So recognizing that as a strength and as the strength that it is. And even if it brings up fear, recognizing that that's okay. And fear does not mean face everything and run, right? Doesn't it mean face everything and rise? And it's time to rise into your strengths and regain your power again. That's what you want, right? I hope that's what you want. That's what I want for you. So being in a relationship with a narcissist does a number on your self-esteem. It leads you to believe that you have no strengths, that you have no good qualities, and that no one else would see those in you. And you're lucky that they did for the short time or way that they did. But that's what leaves you stuck in the relationship with the narcissist, is not thinking that you have any strengths, and you do. We all have gifts, talents, strengths, and abilities. So all those things they said were not true about you are probably true about you, and those are probably your strengths. You might say, my strength is forgiving people. And the narcissist might say, well, that's not true because you never forgave me. You always hold it all over my head and you always bring it back up. And you're the one that said, let's not fight about this anymore. You're the one that starts that fight. So with all of that aside, recognizing your own strength is a crucial step into energetically breaking free and being energetically disconnected from the narcissist. So if you ended up in a relationship with a narcissist, it's because they saw those good qualities in you. I can assure you that. I can promise you that. So write down your strengths. Post it somewhere where you can read them out loud to yourself every day. I know you're going to have unconscious beliefs that fight against letting that in, accepting that, and really believing that it's true, but that is a good place to start. So step number 10, setting boundaries. And there are many, many boundaries. There's energetic boundaries. There are physical boundaries. There's emotional boundaries. And narcissists love. They're like a parade of horses coming in, stampeding and trampling all over your boundaries. And they do this because they feel entitled to, because they feel entitled to have all of their needs met, even at the sacrifice and expense of your boundaries, your needs, your wants, and your desires. They don't care. So if you become accustomed to and adjusted to and used to getting habitually stuck in this cycle of giving them whatever they want and need and letting them stampede all over your boundaries, right? We're always teaching others how to treat us, and you've taught them to treat you like a big dirt field that just needs to be stomped on and run through. So if you tell them what behavior you will and will not tolerate and you stick to it, and not just, and by stick to it, I mean implement the consequence that is connected with that boundary, it will feel really difficult in the beginning, I'm sure, because it's something that you're not used to, because more than likely you're a codependent people pleaser. And it's really hard for codependent people pleasers to implement boundaries. There are books in that and they tell you how to do it, but those books are going to be really, really difficult to actually implement if you do not have the matching unconscious belief that you deserve to have that boundary set in place. Again, that's where all of this work really makes the greatest difference, so that all those tools and resources that you already have and all those things that you know you should do, you actually can do. So that is number 10, setting boundaries. Number 11, stop. Stop taking responsibility for their happiness. There, is that it? When you're with a narcissist, you believe that you are responsible for their happiness. You believe if they come through the door and they are unhappy, you need to drop what you're doing, stop what you're doing, and do any and everything to make them happy. Because, right? Happy narcissist, happy life. Not true, because narcissists are never actually truly happy. So stop taking responsibility for their happiness. Again, this is part of the codependent people pleaser. You take responsibility for everyone's happiness because you don't like that tension. You don't like that elephant in the room. You don't like that discomfort. So you step into that space and try and fix and maneuver and change and do whatever you need to do at the expense of you to make others happy. So number 11, you've got to stop taking responsibility for their happiness. No matter how much you give, you're not going to get. So you can give them 100% of your energy, time, and effort. You will get zero back, and they're not going to be happy in the end anyway. And you know this. It is nearly impossible to learn how to distance yourself on any level from a narcissist when you are still taking responsibility for their happiness. I've had many clients who I've worked with, and they've had the past narcissists reach out to them and say, hey, I need to borrow some money. You're the only one I can trust. You're the only one I can come to. I have no one else. Can I borrow some money? And you think, wow, if I just give them money, like we barely talk anymore, but I give them money, they promise they'll pay me back, and this is what they're going to do to earn it back so that they can pay me back. They're never going to. But you think, well, that'll make them happy. And if they're happy, at least they'll be nice to me. Maybe we could kind of get along. No, it is not your job. It is not your job. So giving yourselves permission to stop fighting to make them happy, then you can take another step forward in the process of moving along. All right. Number 12, and this is hard to do because you've been emotionally abused, used, manipulated, and brainwashed, but don't get sucked into their drama. That's all they are. They're a Netflix series. And it's big D drama. Don't get sucked into the drama. That is what they use, these grandiose stories and this, oh my God, kind of stories to suck and pull you into their drama so that they can connect with the emotional part of you that feels bad that they had to go through that, endure that, and experience that. And you can't believe that that happened to them. And now, because of that, they need you for this little part. So could you just please? And you're like, of course I can. Don't get sucked into their drama. Turn the channel. It's just like Netflix. Let's just go to another show. There are millions out there. When you're getting away from a narcissist, they're going to try their hardest to convince you to stay. They're going to put on a circus, a dramatic show. They're going to begin to cry. They're going to beg you. They're going to plead with you that, please come on, just change your mind. I'll do anything, please. So don't do this to me. Don't do this to us after everything we've been through. Our family, think about this, think about that. And when you think about this and you think about that, you get sucked and pulled into the drama. Don't fall for it. This is a trick. It's the greatest trick in their book. Stick to your plan to leave to go no contact. So do not get stuck in their drama. Obviously, you're much more susceptible to getting stuck in their drama if you're communicating with them. This is why what I said earlier, cut off the contact with them, unless it has to do with the child. But you're going to notice they're going to use that as a little entryway into, like, say something about the child, and oh, by the way, No, understand and see and recognize that's drama. I'm not getting sucked into that. I will answer your question about this very factually, without emotion. Rest of that, no, to take the drama to your mama, right? Give it back, get it out of here. So that partners with step number 13, do not stoop to their level. They want you to, because then they've got you engaged in this battle with them. And they love battles because they will do any and everything to win them. So don't stoop to their level. Their level is down here. Remember, their level is a very, 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 very wounded person, a deeply wounded person. Their level is lies. Their level is manipulation. Their level is abuse. Their level is any and everything that they need to do to get one up on you. So when you stoop to that level, you're down here doing the dance and playing the game. So when you stoop to the level of narcissist, which is really tempting to, because your emotional wounds are open and oozing and wounded, and so are theirs, and it feels like salt is being poured into them on a daily and constant basis, and it hurts on every level, and you want them to know how bad you're hurting, so you want to get them back and pay them back. But when you do that, you're stooping to their level. So you are going to feel the urge. You're going to feel it in every cell of your being. You're probably going to have to breathe through it, call your support system. I'm being triggered right now. Talk to me while I get through this. Resist the urge to be just as nasty to them as they are to you. Resist the urge to engage in name calling and pointing out all their flaws in an effort to make yourself feel better, because it won't, because you're just re-engaging. So don't stoop to their level, okay? Number 14, Don Miguel Ruiz says this. He's brilliant. The four agreements. Don't take it personally. Remember, they're coming from a deeply wounded place from all of their life, from way, way back. This projection of that pain has nothing to do with you personally. Okay? Even if this is coming from your parents, the people in their lives that caused that pain were not you. That pain was there far before you came into the picture. So don't take any of their behavior, any of their actions personally. Don't take it personally. That's what Don Miguel Ruiz says, and absolutely brilliant. So hard to do, again, because your inner emotional wounds and trauma know what theirs feels like, and they match, and you get it, and you're hurt and they're hurt, and hurt people, so you're just two hurt people trying to hurt each other. But don't take their behavior personally. Understand their wounds and their pain was there far before you came into the picture, and they're projecting that onto you. One of the things that makes it really difficult and hard when you're trying to emotionally detach from a narcissist is that they will try their hardest to hurt you when you try and officially end the relationship, like for the millionth time. But when you say, this is it, last time is last time, I know I said that, they will call you god awful names. They will threaten to ruin your reputation. They will threaten to financially ruin you. They will threaten to ruin your friends and your family and expose just how horrible of a person you are and all those dirty, dark secrets that they know about you. They're going to blast them and smear them all over the world for everyone to know. Everyone's going to know the truth about you. And you fear that. So you want to hurt them back just the same. Don't play the game. And again, you're going to get caught in it time and time again because your emotional wounds want to pour salt into their emotional wounds. They know how it feels. I get it. So resist the urge to defend yourself. I think the greatest form of this is gray rocking. Like a caveman, just making noises and sounds. When they're all over you, and recognizing first and foremost that behavior has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Using gray rocking helps with this. It helps you, right, appear, because you're probably not going to internally, you're probably not going to really remain calm, but helps you appear calm, have that poker face, use the gray rocking techniques, and just go, okay, anything else? And just cut off that emotional connection. That's where gray rocking really comes in. Okay, number 15, again, a lot of these are really difficult when you still have inner unconscious beliefs that you're unworthy, undeserving, helpless, powerless, your emotional wounds of rejection, abandonment, betrayal are coming into play, impacting the picture that you're seeing that's being painted. But letting go, number 15, of their need for approval, letting go of the need for their approval, excuse me. We all have the need for approval. We needed our parents' approval when we were growing up. We needed our teachers' approval. We wanted our friends' approval. We wanted and needed our coaches' approval. We're human beings. We like validation. We want that need for approval. Receiving it, accepting it, connecting with it makes us feel really good. Gives us that little hit of dopamine. It gives us that little bit of high, that energy, that, oh yeah, I'm going to keep going. Because it's validating to know that what we've done is being received, accepted, appreciated, understood, right? So we all need approval, but letting go of the need for their approval, because they never, ever will actually approve of what you're doing. And in fact, what's happening is they do, but they're jealous of it. So they're not going to make you feel like a genuine approval, that they genuinely see you, accept you, because narcissists have unrealistically high standards and expectations. Even the best partners will fall short with the narcissist. They will never be good enough. And you now have that unconscious belief deeply rooted in you. You will never be good enough. And because of that, you'll find yourself in a cycle and state and battle of needing their approval to prove to them so that you feel in their eyes that you are good enough because you've got their approval. You'll never get it. But that's going to leave you fighting to get back in that space, in their good graces, to have their approval. You'll never get it. first and foremost because they don't have it for themselves. You'll never get it from them because they don't have it to give. So you've got to disconnect from the need for their approval. You can get approval in other ways and from other people who are of healthy mind, heart, body, and soul, but you've got to stop seeking the approval. And when you do, your emotional attachment to the narcissist will begin to dissipate. It will begin to go away. It will begin to fade. And again, all of this is done so much more easily and quickly when you truly connect within yourself what those inner core wounds are, the emotional ones, like I'm not enough, the ones that kept you emotionally attached to the narcissist. Those beliefs that no one's ever going to love you, that you're never going to get what you want, that you are everything they said that you are in the heat of that argument or multiple arguments. All of those inner emotional wounds, when you heal them and figure out or connect to the very core of them, then you can emotionally disconnect and detach from the narcissist altogether. That's what I specialize in. That's what I do. And that's what I absolutely love doing, is allowing people to connect to that place within themselves so that they can be free from them, from all the things outside themselves that they don't want a connection to anymore, including the narcissist, including the ways that they self-sabotage, including the ways that they numb and avoid things, including the ways that they feel like they're a fake, that they're a fraud, that they procrastinate or have to be perfect at everything now. All of that's got to do with the unconscious beliefs that you have inside of you. So when you heal, transform, reprogram, rewire, change, and fix those, everything else about your life follows, and it follows in the most beautiful way. So when you're ready for that, let's connect. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed this video about the top 15 ways to emotionally detach from a narcissist. All right, guys, that's it for today. Bye for now.